Don't laugh at me, okay? Trying to get out my chair to get comfortable. Hi, Mr. Brewcart. How you doing? Tuning in all the way from Vegas. All right, let's get into this interview. I don't know where you're living if you have not heard about the story, but just in case you haven't heard about the story, it's been 4 months now? Yep. All right, so there was a young lady by the name of Lauren Smith Fields that passed away at 23, just before her 24th birthday, after meeting a young man on the app Bumble. And her family was not aware that she passed away until 2 days later, because the city of Bridgeport police department failed to locate her next of kin. So there's a lot. So I am going to let the attorney that is handling the case get into the story from the beginning and kind of fill us in on what's the new update. Mr. Darnell.
Well, good afternoon. Thanks for having me here. Before we get into the case itself, I have to tell you that nothing changes in our community unless the community demands change. And since this case started, I've been on CNN, Fox, different Hollywood shows. But being here in a community radio station, OneLove Radio, is transformative, because, and also, we're here on Resurrection Weekend, and it's just an out-of-body experience. So I just want to say that, thank you for having me here at the station. I went to Clark, Atlanta in Georgia, and we had community radio stations. I grew up in the Bronx, and from Squeeze to, Bobby Clark and all those guys who had what they call pirate radio stations. Those are the radio stations that really gave the community the news that it needed.
Exactly.
So, I don't take it for granted. Since this case started, I've been all over the media circuit, but to be here today on Resurrection Weekend in the community radio station means a lot. To me, it means a lot to the story. So
I appreciate you being here.
Definitely get into this.
Yeah. Before you get into the story, people like to know who the person is that's handling the case. So maybe you want to tell them a little bit about yourself.
All right. Well, definitely, as the rhythms are playing in here, reminding us of who we are. My family's from the Caribbean, and I grew up in the Bronx and went high school in the Bronx, went college in Georgia. So who am I? As Bob said, who you are since the time you're born, and we go through some spaces, but I'm just a small Caribbean boy. Grew up in a strict Caribbean household, and just doing God's work. So I think that's who I am. And
how did you come about getting this involved in this case?
Since I moved to Connecticut after getting a clerkship at the courthouse in Stamford, I went out on my own and then started doing some civic engagements. And so I was president for the NAACP for a long time, on the board for the homeless shelter for 7 years, ran for mayor in Norwalk, ran for probate judge. And so just being out in the community, things that affect the community always, had my interest. And so when this case broke, I started reaching out to people saying, the senators and stuff in Bridgeport should be involved. I hadn't heard anybody involved. And I wasn't looking to be involved in any specific way. I was just trying to say,
advocating.
Someone needs to be handling this. And then from that, you know how they say, if you try to give somebody a job, the job becomes yours. So that's what happened. So so since me just raising a voice saying that, the powers that be need to really take this case seriously. I don't live in Bridgeport. Always an honor to be here, even like being here this morning. I just love driving up into Bridgeport. Again, coming from college in Atlanta was a real black city. So Bridgeport is like the closest to that. And whenever I come up here, it's just a vibe that, that I always get. So I just love coming up here. But so when things happen in Bridgeport like this case, I really started to say to myself, you know what we got to realize is that just like there's a gentleman who was in Michigan who just got shot in his head and got killed this weekend. I thought that, a couple weeks ago, that was an execution to me. And what people don't realize is that this exact case that's happening to Lawrence Smith Field, Brenda Lee Rawls here in Bridgeport, it's exactly akin and analogous to the police brutality and the police abuse that you see. Now, you might say, this guy is out to lunch. How can he make such a comparison? But I will make this comparison. We are living in a national and international pandemic called COVID-19. We're not just worried about the people who die from COVID-19. We're worrying about those who are affected in other ways by COVID-19. So vaccines aren't just for us to stop people from dying. It's to allow you to live better if you do get COVID. So I make the analysis that with all the people being shot and killed who are black in this country, if in fact we don't realize that that's a sickness that goes way beyond just when they pull the trigger, then we're lost. The real issue is that they don't care. It's a power structure that's not taking us seriously, that devalues us. And just like, again, the analysis that I'm making, if we don't find a vaccine for that, then people will die, right? So COVID is helping people not die, right? So we can't just look at this as a systemic thing that only deals with those who are shot and killed. But look at the power structure that allows a Lauren Smith Fields to be dead for 2 days before her parents even know in a modern society, in a civilized society. And you ask yourself, what is wrong here? And so, from Father Panic Village to Green Homes, I was in federal court the other day, and I told a federal judge, if we don't realize that there's a direct correlation between the kids who come through this violence and poverty and federal court, then we're lost. And I think that's what we have to do. It's a direct correlation between the neglect that we see in city government that allows Lauren Smith Fields to lay dead and be removed from her apartment dead, and her mom don't know for 2 days. That's a direct neglect, and it's the responsibility of the city that I'm sitting in to change that.
Let's remind the folks how her family found out. They were calling her for 2 days with no response. So they decided to go to her house. And there was a note on the door that says, if you're looking for Lauren, call this number. Now, they dialed that number, and they did not even get the police department. They got the landlord that informed them that Lauren had passed away. Now, just imagine you being that person, that your loved one passed away. No one called you. No one told you about it, and you had to find out about it by a note on the door. Now, they said that when the family asked about the person in question, we'll say his name, Matthew LaFountain, was 37 years old. They said he seems to be a nice guy. What really was that policeman's response?
Well, a couple of things. One, when the note was left, the family then drove over there,
right,
and they found that the person they called was the landlord, and the landlord told them that what happened, and it was shocking. I mean,
of course,
typically professionals will know how to engage a family who's in grief, right? But the landlord is not a professional, and so they're sitting and they hear this and they just lose it, right?
Right.
In terms of when they finally reach the police officers to see if this information is correct, the police officers said, "Don't jump to conclusion." This is a guy named Cronin who's since been put on administrative leave by the government. Still is.
Is he being paid?
I'd never asked that question, but one wants to. Lonnie Blackwell, who was a black officer here who lost his job for like 3 years, was put on leave without pay. And I engaged and I helped advocate for Lonnie. And I'd assume that this gentleman would not be paid, but that's a bad assumption knowing the world that we live in. I bet $1 that he's probably is paid. But so what happens is, they find out that that Lauren has passed away, and the police officer says, "Don't jump to conclusions. This is a nice guy," right? And so there's all this speculation swirling around. Does this Matthew LaFountain have a connection with Bridgeport police? And of course, people want to debunk that idea, right?
Right.
But if I'm to say that you are a very nice woman, that has to be based on something. That has to be mean that I saw you at some outings. I know who you are.
You know me.
I've engaged you.
Yeah.
Or we can just use a total racist conclusion that he's a nice guy because he's white.
Right.
Right?
Right.
I would assume that they would never want us to make a racial conclusion, and that this cop said that because he's a white guy.
Right.
So then we only left with the other conclusion that he knew this gentleman. The
Right.
landlord said that someone knocked on his door in the wee hours of the morning around 4 that he thought it was the police, and perhaps that was this guy Cronin, based on a phone call that he got from the Fountain to come over and try to intervene.
Right.
And then when the landlord didn't open, maybe Cronin left, and then LaFountain was told to call 911. So, we're stuck with having to investigate this, and it's our responsibility to do so because we have to look out for ourselves. It's really the charge and the responsibility of the police officers to do the right thing and to leave us with less questions and more answers. But that hasn't happened in this case.
And the family went through the apartment and found evidence.
Absolutely. So weeks after Lauren died, the family went to the apartment to start to break it down. There was never a crime preservation scene set up. No protocols were put in place to make sure that CSI, which is Crime Scene Investigations, that they came in and they collected items of evidentiary value, right? So when you collect items, you make a call as a professional that this may be of evidentiary value. In the long run, maybe it's not.
That'd be ruled out, right.
But you collect it and you preserve it for the analysis and the possibility that this could lead somewhere.
Right.
It's really shocking that we have to be doing this type of analysis Monday morning, right? Because the police officers who were there should have done this and should know this.
Exactly.
And when we met with the mayor, we made it clear that this type of behavior is unacceptable, and we shouldn't have to be Monday morning quarterbacking. It should have been done already.
Exactly.
But the police officers, based on the expert opinions around the country, are saying that the police officers failed to treat this like a homicide, which they should have done. And then as you collect things of evidentiary value and you do your investigations, you can dial it down from a homicide to maybe just an accidental death, if that's what it is.
Right.
But you can't treat it as nothing, and then weeks later with no preservation, months later, then try to say, oh my God, where are we? Because that's not fair. And as Billie Holiday would say, it was like when blacks were getting lynched and hanging from trees in the South, they just call them strange fruit. And then you find out later that, that strange fruit is all over the South and is based on people who are being killed. So this young lady could have been killed or could have been killed as we sit here, and we
Right.
just don't know because it's strange fruit to
Right.
them.
Exactly. Wow. So has Mr. LaFountain offered any DNA samples as yet?
Well, he is not, and his lawyer came out and said that he's willing to cooperate. He's been cooperative.
Willing. It's been 4 months.
Exactly. That type of cooperation is, they say with friends like that, who needs enemies? And the thing here is that, again, when you go back to the crime scene, the statement that was taken from Mr. LaFountain should have been verified, and that will lead you to items of evidentiary value. And I'll give you a point. He said that he slept with his clothes on
Right.
and that they never had sex.
Right.
Well, if you search the apartment just in the bathroom, I'm not talking about going to Guantanamo. You don't have to go too far. Just the bathroom was where people throw things away.
Right.
Crime scene 101 would make you go to the bathroom.
Right.
They would have found in a garbage can what the family found, which was a condom with semen in it. So then you look at the statement that this gentleman gave, that we never had sex. We know that a good source of semen and condoms is sexual activity.
Right.
Right? Condoms
Right.
are typically used when you have sex.
Right.
And when you have sex, semen is, I don't have to give a biological, biology.
Right.
Yeah, but it's like Bridgeport, it's like, I have to give this lesson because it's like, yo.
Yes.
What's going on? So they would have said, wait a minute, if you didn't have sex and you slept with your clothes on,
Why is there a condom
why is
with
there
semen
condom
in
with
the
semen in it?
bathroom?
Do you mind if we take a buccal swab, which
Right.
is a simple, non-invasive swab of your mouth for DNA, and we're going to compare your known DNA to the unknown in this condom.
Right.
And if your DNA doesn't match the unknown,
You're ruled out.
then you're ruled out.
And your story checked out.
Checked out.
Yeah.
But if you don't do that, we're sitting here at OneLove 4 months later, ask Wagwan.
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 What the heck happened?
Yeah. If Woody had went to the police,
Yes.
this would have never happened.
So, what needs to be done to have? Can they be subpoenaed to give his DNA? What?
Yeah, good question. So, a warrant could be sought for his DNA from law enforcement, right? And so if law enforcement is valuing the lives of young black women as they should, such as the Gabby Petitos were valued, they would already sought a subpoena for his DNA, right, to compare it to
Lot
what
of
was
mercy.
found. But we don't even know what a condom with the semen is as we speak because
Hold up. You, hold up.
Yeah, I'm holding up.
Hold up. So the family found this evidence and handed over to the police department,
Yes.
and the police department lost it. Is that what you're saying?
I can't make that
Allegedly.
conclusion. The police department, up to months later, I've been calling the forensic laboratory saying, please let me know what other submissions that were made in this case. They looked up the agency, which is Bridgeport Police Department, and they said that agency has made no submissions.
Oh, yeah, I see.
Yep.
You got to be okay. So did you mention this to the mayor when you met with him?
Yes, I did. Because prior to me meeting with him, I pressed them to find out from the acting chief where are the items. The acting chief sent him a letter, which he allowed me to look at, and the letter said that some of the, I think she used the word, some of the items are at the Bridgeport Police Department, and some of the items are at the lab. I followed up with another letter saying that that's not good enough. I would like to know what items are at the Bridgeport Police Department, what items are at the laboratory, and I would like to know what is the case number assigned to the items that was submitted to the laboratory. And up to now, we didn't get a response to that letter. And when I met with the mayor last Saturday, I reiterated the fact that I don't accept some items here and some items there without knowing exactly what is here, exactly what's there, and what's the case number. And he said he will look into it. So we're gonna have to keep on this case, and that's why I'm glad to be here.
Most definitely. I mean, is it even any good at this point?
Well, some things are what they call fungible, and some things aren't. I would assume bodily secretion is one of the items that may be fungible. So this semen may be dried up if not preserved and if not tested soon enough. I'm not the professional, but one could conclude that semen can't last forever, and so with that, I think for one, I know that our due process rights were totally violated, and I do know that a chain of custody issue has been set up to allow this gentleman to go free or to have a defense if ever an arrest was sought. So we know that that's the way they approach this is totally banduli, as we say.
Sloppy.
So, yes.
Sloppy. Just handling stuff that's hoping that it doesn't work anymore. I don't know. And now what are we fighting for now? You met with the mayor last Saturday. Did you ask him why did it take 4 months for him to have a meeting with the family?
Yeah, well, he came out and said that he is really pleased that he can give his condolences in person, and that he apologized that it took so long. And with that being said, I can't nail a man to the cross, and there's no rule book that I could say you violated this rule of not meeting with sooner. I only was able to tell him that, and Alexis Farrow, who was there at the meeting too, the family advocate, said off the back, she said, I'm glad that we're here, but I'm going to tell you that we're disappointed it took you this long.
Of course.
And he apologized, but I could only imagine there was, either political movements going on, Tale of the Naked City, who knows what's going on in the back rooms. But I said to him, if people from Hawaii, as far as Hawaii, are reaching out to us with condolences,
right,
there would have been no reason why your office, your administration, couldn't reach out to me and say,
Yeah, there was a protest right in front of your office building.
Absolutely.
Where were you? Sorry, Mr. Mayor. You got to do better than that. So now you're fighting for a bill.
Yes, that was that's a notice bill, and thank God we got some traction there.
Okay, and your plans is to sue the city.
Yeah. So to your question is as to what are we seeking now?
Right.
We know that we have to do better. We know for a fact that if you were suffering like this family is suffering in front of the world, not knowing, never have known, and don't know where you're going in the future,
Right.
you can't have closure.
Right.
And with that is a certain sense of an extreme amount of pain and suffering that one goes through without closure, right? And so we know that people have to be compensated for that pain and suffering. We know that lawsuits allows protocols to be put in place that these things don't happen again. So we know that we're all entitled to due process of law, and that means respect, dignity, protocols, etc. And whether you spill oil in the middle of the Pacific and you have to pay a fine and you have to pay, the way people change and the way people are held responsible is economically. Obviously, people have a hard time paying black people anything, from reparations to I'm sorry. If they just there's some kind of disease that thinks that you can't give black people money. You know, we'll say sorry to you, but that's all you get.
That's
you know,
it.
but other people will be compensated financially. And if
Right.
we ask for financial compensation, then you're chasing an ambulance or you're just trying to come up or something.
So that's
'Cause
for
they
pain
don't-
and suffering.
Exactly.
Pain
I
and
mean,
suffering.
can anybody debate that
Right.
the pain that this woman faces every single day, living in the
A
city?
life has been lost. A future has been cut short. So, of course. So the bill that you're fighting for is that family be notified within 24 hours. That shouldn't even be a bill. That's
just common sense.
Yeah.
And in fact, Mayor Ganem at the meeting looked up the police policy and he gave us a copy that was already in their policy. So that was a violation of their policy, which then connects to a violation of due process. And so he was pleased that the state is now taking this on to allow police departments to either have it on their books or enforce what they already have, because now there's teeth to it. I think they have that in their protocol, but they never had any teeth to it. So now you could lose you could be decertified as a police officer if you don't provide a reason why you didn't make that notice, or let someone in your higher chain of commands know.
decertified. Elaborate.
So, in order for a person to be a police officer in the state of Connecticut, you have to have a certification. Typically, a lot of times officers will do things that violate the law, or they get fired, and they go straight from one agency to the next.
another.
So they go from Stanford to Bridgeport, Bridgeport to West Haven. But if you're decertified in the state, then you can't go anywhere else, and so therefore you
Yikes.
cannot be a police officer anymore. And that would be the goal. If you
Wow.
can't handle this responsibility appropriately, then you shouldn't have it.
Wow. Okay. All right. I don't know. Did we come? Okay. Also, the Miss LaFountain said that she was bleeding from the nose, but where the blood stain was not at the head, it was in the middle of the bed. Now, they started an autopsy on her. Is that legal for them to start an autopsy before speaking with the family?
Well, there's a lot of different things at play. So if there's a suspected crime scene or a crime that took place, then the law enforcement agencies and the medical examiner's office have responsibility to start to investigate.
Okay.
That, right?
All right. Stop right there. So you said that if there is a crime scene, the law enforcement they could take it upon themselves to start an autopsy, which they did. But did they on the outside gather evidence and treat the scene as a crime scene?
That's the thing. So obviously the chief medical examiners proceeded in one fashion,
Yeah.
and the local Bridgeport police officers proceeded in an opposite fashion. So when you talk about blood stain, placement of the blood stain has to all match
Right.
the statement that the suspect
Right.
gave. There were signs of dragging, if you would. So if you have blood that hits one spot but is streaking because a body is moved or something, you have some streaking. And we had evidence of streaking. So that would indicate that a body was moved. Maybe it was moved for some nefarious purpose to cover up something, or maybe this gentleman was trying to do CPR. Who knows?
Was it confirmed that the blood came from her nose during the autopsy?
It was confirmed that the blood was hers, but we don't know if it was from her nose or not because they haven't given us that kind of information.
Well, that
was just his statement.
Yeah, but that's one thing that your family needs to know. Where was the blood? Was as he said, was it from her nose?
Yeah, you
So
should
that
confirm that.
so his statement can be collaborated.
Absolutely.
Yeah, so that's one more thing you gotta figure out. The number, if you guys are just listening, that's fine. But if you'd like to call in and have a comment or ask any question, the number is 203 683 7254. 203 683 7254. 203 683 7254. Right. Exactly. We're gonna take a quick musical break, and we'll be right back. We're chatting with attorney Darnell Crosland, the attorney in the Lawrence Smith Fields case. We're getting the updates, and if you have questions, feel free to call. And the number is 203-683-7254. Once again, that number is 203-683-7254.
They don't have a clue. Them running up your mouth, but you're bigger than what people say. Glory to your name, God. Hallelujah, magnificent God. Just mega magnificent. Dragon big God. Just mega ginormous. Magnanimous. Mega magnificent, you magnanimous. Jesus bigger than what people say. Ding it. Jesus bigger than what people say. I hear them talking, hear them running up their mouth, but you're bigger than what people say. Don't have a God bigger than what people say. Hallelujah! I'm prodigal soul. Yeah. Which praise can't do. Yeah. Jesus, we're ready when they're ready. Prodigal, we're ready when they're ready. Johnny Beach, we're ready when they're ready. We're ready now. All you youngsters, we know mama, daddy. And all who we need and no got no money. Anyone? All who lonely and I look somebody. See Jesus, yeah. Sing Jesus, yeah. Sing Jesus, yeah. Sing Jesus, yeah. Jesus, come to set all the captives free and cure your disease. See Jesus, yeah. Come to cancel your brokenness and relieve all your stress. See Jesus, yeah. Bring recovery aside to the blind. Heal your heart and renew your mind. Man of miracle, wonders and sign. Yo, I am your fine. Turn on the lights. Make me introduce you to Christ, the way and the truth and the light. And no power and our might. Yo, I by faith not sight. When Jesus Christ you invite. Up in your life. Make all your wrongs them right. And your darkest days them turn bright. It's my delight. To tell you say life is not quite physical but a spiritual fight. All you youngsters, we know mama, daddy. And all who we need and no got no money. And all who lonely and I look somebody. See Jesus, yeah. See Jesus, yeah. What we say? See Jesus, yeah. See Jesus, yeah. Reaching out to the orphans, widows and broke pockets. When God a bless, no evil can stop it. Open your heart, no see Bible, ya catch it. And when Jesus come in, just latch it. You have to pray every day. Cause prayer is a must, not a me. Find a Bible, believe in church and some Christian friend who will lead you astray. Devotion is a must. When you rise, hail Jesus first. And if you fast for the day, is a bonus and plus. In a Jesus Christ, put your trust. I want to say, God is always been there for you. His arms open wide. That's true. You gotta change your point of view and let him on the inside. That is why he sent us Jesus Christ to die for you and I, so that you may live eternally in the sweet by and by. So all you youngsters, we know mama, daddy, and all who we need and no got no money, and all who lonely and all who somebody. See Jesus, yeah. See Jesus, yeah. And what we say? See Jesus, yeah. See Jesus, yeah. Joe, God won't leave you, nor forsake you. When mother, father, sister, brother, gone him take you. When friends hurt you and your spouse them hurt you. Jesus.
Yes, welcome back, welcome back. It's the RenieLove Inspirational Show right here on your favorite radio station, OneLove Radio in the Fairfield County area. Shout out to the Boogie Down Bronx, Colored Roots Radio, 99.3 FM. You can log on from anywhere in the world by just logging on to OneLoveCT.com. Mr. Darnell said it's okay to call in if you have any questions. We have a limited time here. So if you have any questions or comments, 203-683-7254. We encourage you to sit, relax, and enjoy the show. But if you do feel the urge to call in, you can do so. So, Mr. Darnell. So one thing we've got to find out, if the blood is her blood, right? That was confirmed.
Yes.
Okay, so we got to figure out if it was coming from her nostrils, because he said she was bleeding from the nose. Right.
That's correct.
And we need to find out if the semen belonged to him or not. Correct. She met him on Bumble, people. That was her first time meeting him. So just be careful out there when you're dating. Trying to make sure I cover everything before you go.
Well, just with the Bumble, in terms of investigation, we know that these platforms operate through a text message type platform. Mm-hmm. So, you text me, I text you, and we have a conversation. Right. Within that conversation, we could learn a lot.
Right.
So what kind of pictures were being transmitted, what type of nature of the pictures, if they were. And what was shocking is that all through this entire journey, forcing Bridgeport to treat this as something of value. Bumble made a statement. They reached out to us and said that they stand willing and able to assist law enforcement across the country, and they want their platform to be safe.
Yes.
Bridgeport never responded to them to say, hey, can you send us a transcript of the conversation so we could see? Isn't that like Police 101? That
is like Bridgeport lackadaisical.
Yeah,
Police,
I like that T-shirt.
Police lackadaisical.
Yes.
Law enforcement lackadaisical in the Bridgeport. Come on now. Come on. That's they freely offered their help and they didn't even take it.
Yes.
That's ridiculous.
You have to ask yourself why.
That's ridiculous. So it was founded that she died from an overdose of a combination of prescription medication and fentanyl and alcohol.
Yes.
Now, we don't know if he brought anything with him, if he gave her anything.
Well, let me update you on. So after the autopsy came out, there's two parts of conclusion from the autopsy. So one, you have a cause of death and you have a manner of death. So those are very important not to conflate those. You have to separate them. So the cause of death they determined was a combination of fentanyl, prescription medication, such as antihistamines, alcohol was the cause, and then the manner they determined accidental. So we objected to the manner, and I called the chief medical examiners, and they routinely change the manner if they find more information. The manner I thought was objectionable because, again, when you have a devalue of black women's lives in the country at an enormous rate, and then you conclude accidental, what that does is make people turn their backs and say nothing to see here, folks. And it doesn't allow us to continue to have the same vigor in the investigation because it's deemed to be an accident. So that word from a common usage, accident is like, okay, nothing nefarious happened, let's move. But what we do know in other cases where there's a combination of drugs or substances found in a person's body that cause the death, the causation, then the death is usually a death by toxicity. And so the question of toxicity means that not one of those things killed this person, but a combination. So the question on Court TV, I was on Court TV, and one of the experts was on the channel, and he said, I have one word for this case, cocktail. He said that only a cocktail is a good description for all these drugs, because no one in their right mind will take fentanyl, prescription meds, and then say, hey, let me wash that down with alcohol. But a cocktail is something that slipped to you unbeknownst to you. Also, when you look at the type of drugs such as antihistamines, that's something that puts you to sleep. So if you meet somebody on Bumble or anything else and you want to be alert for this date, you're not going to take something that puts you to sleep. Right? You put yourself to sleep if you want to be despondent. Yeah. But so those are really, really important things that we have to remember in terms of that. Now, in terms of the glasses that they were using, they could have swabbed those glasses to see if there's any fentanyl there. Now, just briefly as an update, after the autopsy came out, the federal agents got involved. So now the DEA and other federal agents are involved. And I don't want to make no mistakes here. They're involved not as from a standpoint of a crimes against persons, in terms of like they care about Lauren. They care about the source of the fentanyl, because fentanyl has been wreaking havoc in the country. So the DEA wants to trace maybe the source of the fentanyl. But, you know, we have to celebrate that in my perspective, because some movement is better than no movement.
Right.
And now if they find out where the source of the fentanyl came from, then that may give us some information as to how she died. So maybe if it tracks back to this gentleman or somebody he knows, then we will know. Lastly, we've been trying to get from the mayor a green light to get the phone records for Detective Cronin within that first 24 hours after she died, because usually the calls that the person who's a suspect makes immediately could lead you to some information. So I want to know who this guy LaFountain called immediately after he died.
Right.
That always leads you, like in the television, like in movies, that leads you to something. Did they call their mother? Did they call their father? Did they call a person who sells fentanyl? And be like, yo, what the hell was in there?
Right.
Or, you know, who he called immediately after she died or around that time would be, to me, very advantageous to us in this investigation. And again, if this gentleman is innocent and there's nothing there, then fine. But that's what investigations are for.
Okay.
So yeah, you know, that's what we're dealing with in terms of updates, in terms of where we are with the case.
Wow. So you definitely have to come back. You said monthly update?
Absolutely.
Okay.
We have to,
monthly update. We have to come back and let us know if they found out, if you got the phone records to see who he called. You still got to find out if the blood was coming from her nose. You got to find out what else do we have to
where
find
the
out?
where the stuff are.
Where the evidence that the
Yeah.
family collected, what happened to them, and if they're still even usable. How you doing, Ernie Perry, tuning in all the way from Raleigh, North Carolina. Hello, Nikki, tuning in from New Jersey. All right, so we
Big
want
up New Jersey.
Big up New Jersey, and Bruce tuning in from Las Vegas, Nevada.
Big up Vegas.
So, want to thank you for your time, for taking your time to come see little old me and be a part of the RenieLove Inspirational Show, to just talk so the community can hear, because we had concerned citizens, they're not calling now, but that was wondering before it was being talked about, because I definitely talked about it, you know, wondering why it's not being talked about. And, you know, then it all just escalated. So we're glad that it's taken on the media has taken on it, that put a little pressure on it. But even though the pressure, I noticed that even though there's a media pressure on there, there's still some lackadaisical stuff going on. Like, I don't know if it's deliberate, you know, but
Can you imagine with no pressure? That's the question. Can you imagine if we didn't have community radio, if we didn't have Twitter, if we didn't have Facebook, if we didn't have that type of outlet? Can you imagine how?
Yeah.
And can you imagine, actually, just it's only God why Lauren's name has propelled to this space, because there's media people, CNN, who've been calling me just to get a hello, because they've seen the traction.
Right,
And of course they just want to get clickbait and whatever, so they will call just to say hello, so they can say that they said hello to the lawyer of Lawrence Smith Fields.
Right.
And then they can, you know, so everybody's positioning for that reason, because they don't really care per se. I'm not saying they're bad people, but can you imagine the amount of cases like hers that exist all throughout the country every single day, the amount of people who get boxed by police officers and abused on a daily basis that just don't make the press? Can you imagine? Can you imagine if somebody's listening right now saying, you don't know what happened to me yesterday?
Right.
I've been getting calls from people all over the country that have similar cases to hers, white and black,
wow,
who have been saying that whenever there's a drug overdose concluded, even if it's not right, the police just
rule
close
it out as
out
accident.
as
Yeah.
accidental.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
so we're heading up to Poughkeepsie. We're heading up to another case in California to deal with families who have similar cases like this. And so I've been taking these calls, doing these interviews.
Wow.
My investigators on top of this, and I'll just end this with, you know, this part of saying, there's been women who've been calling our office who had similar experiences with this man, and they see his face
lying.
and they
You're
called
too
in
untrue.
and say, "Yeah, man." And so that's what's happening.
With
and so,
La Fountain.
yes, and so
And this is not raising the hairs on the police department?
no, because they're in a third world country in their head.
They're aware that you are receiving these phone calls?
The police department, I don't know what they were. First of all, you don't have a chief of police, for one. All
Right,
so
right.
If there's nobody running the department, then what do you expect? You know?
No, okay.
If you want to keep
Darnell,
it
let me
1,000.
just ask you this. You inform the police that you have females that have reached out to you that have similar encounter with Matthew LaFountain, 37-year-old man that was on Bumble. Now, there was once to answer that question before I go on. You let them know that, yes?
Of course.
All right. Now, there was a rumor that he was married with children. Is that true?
That's what we found out.
Oh,
Sarah Wallace from NBC News, she's an investigative reporter. So if you Google, you see her at Mount Matthew's door and knocking on neighbors. Typical of how you know these
seriously?
Yeah, knocking on doors doing her investigation.
Good for her.
I came in from Access Hollywood. I was at 30 Rock. They shoot me down there to do an interview on this case. Sent the limo to my office. I shot down to 30 Rock, did the interview, came back up to my office. As I walk in my office, the phone is ringing, and it's a young lady who had a similar situation. I was on the other line with Court TV at the time. I said, you know what, to the producer, I said, you guys are calling me about this case. There's someone on the phone now. I said, would you mind, and it's a woman producer at Court TV. I said, would you mind interviewing this person, and so that way I will step out, some separation. She said, sure. Marina from Court TV spoke to the woman. That I never met the woman. Spoke to the woman, and they concluded the call. Then she sends me. She calls me back and says, "Wow, that was such an interview." She said that this woman said that this guy followed her into a gas station and pulled up next to her and was creeping her out. And she said she knew that was him from when she saw his face on the news. And then Court TV said, "Can you send us a picture of yourself?" And she sent her a picture of herself to Court TV, and Court TV sent it to me. And Court TV said, "Wow, she's strikingly similar in terms of age. She's 23 and a beautiful young black girl." So it was like a profile. And then we got three other people who called. Yes, three other people who called Alexis Farrow and also reported similar behavior. So this thing is just starting. So trust me when I tell you.
He is a married man with children. There was also allegedly that he had family members in the police department.
Yeah, that's what we've been finding out. Again, when NBC did their door-to-door knocking, I think he has a brother who's very high, connected with some higher-ups in Bridgeport. And these are all allegations that we know. And the most that his lawyer could say, I hear him telling people, "Oh, me for watch out because he's gonna come after me for everything I have."
Oh.
So instead of helping, he want to threaten me. You know,
Right.
I know him, so
Right.
You know,
Bring it on.
yeah, exactly.
Bring it on.
Come.
All right, come. We most definitely have to catch up. Next month we'll have you on, and you're welcome to come and talk about anything else that you want to talk about regarding law or the community. All right, so that's an open invitation to the RenieLove. Welcome to the OneLove Radio Studio.
Yes.
I just break your OneLove virginity.
Well, I'm not leaving. I'm not leaving Bridgeport without you giving me a place to eat. So I know you have sponsor after sponsor.
I have sponsor after sponsor. All right. Let's see. All right. We'll see.
Where you sending me? Where you sending me?
Oh. Any Any restaurant? Listen.
Well, I'm putting you on the spot.
Any restaurant listening? All right, I will send you somewhere before you leave. All right, we will send you somewhere. Family Spice. Listen out, look out. Thank you, Mr. Crosland, for coming in, and please come back next month.
Yeah.
Give us some updates. Appreciate you. Any last words?
Yes, well, it's Resurrection Weekend, so give thanks and praise because Jesus died for all of us, and we must remember that. In all the get understanding, and let's keep working together.
All right.
Give them a new thing to say, a new thing to say, yeah. New thing to say, a new thing to say, yeah. Them used to say, we never go nowhere. No where them a go, where them a go, where them a go say. Kill them with the house, and I kill them with the clothes, and I kill them with the sport, and I kill them with the foes, and I kill them with the new car. When them see the ghost, and I kill them, it I kill them cause we are do the most, and we are do fly in and a fly out. We are first class, them a do count. We are start the money in a account. With them a top ball. Kill it or kill them. Kill it or kill them. Them can't stop Jaja children. If God is for us, who can be against us? Who can stop me now? I upward progression. If God is...
You listen to the voice of Nesbeth. Who can stop me now? Once again, it's the RenieLove Inspirational Show. You can catch me each and every Saturday, 11 to 2 p.m. Shout out to Boogie Down Bronx, 99.3 FM, Color Roots Radio.
Who can stop me now?
Okay, we gotta shout out the firm.
Who can stop me now? Can't even trust
Mr. Darnell D. Crosland.
from paper. Probably if the paper wasn't piling up.
What's the name of the firm? Oh, the Crosland Law Group. The Crosland Law Group.
Supposed to be a fit.
1200 Summer Street, Suite 202 in Stanford, Connecticut.
I don't show
So
someone.
if you would like to call,
I don't tap.
203-921-1782, 203-921-1782. Once again, that number is 203-921-1782. You know, when you listen to the RenieLove Inspiration Show, you ought to have pen and paper ready just in case. Now, what do you specialize in case?
So we handle criminal prosecutions, criminal defense against prosecutions in the federal court, state court, New York, as well as Connecticut. I'm from the Bronx. I was in the DA's office in the Bronx for a couple of years, so I still do a lot of work throughout the Bronx and the city. We also do divorce, family cases, custody, personal injury. So pretty much a general practice. And I worked at LaFace Music for so long. We still have a music catalog. I represent Cutty Ranks right now, and some big publishing stuff that we're doing. We just did a deal with some of his old catalogs and Nicky Jam. We did one with Pitbull. So we do a lot of music still. Shout out Paul Lewis, who is a good friend of mine, and I worked with him, and Little John. We did a lot of the Eni Kamosi, Capleton remixes. We have a huge catalog. Smith and Lewis, which is Jonathan Smith, Little John Smith. So I still run that catalog. So just anything you need, just call us. We're there.
All right. Now, do you charge for consultation?
Yeah, generally it depends on the case. If it's certain cases, we charge $150 for a consult, and if you hire us, then we deduct that fee from the actual fee. Certain cases like personal injuries, we don't charge a consult. So it depends on the case.
All right, so just in case you'd like to, get a consultation, you mentioned the RenieLove Inspirational Show. You'll get 50%.
Yeah. If you mention the show, you get the consult free.
You get the consult FREE. You can't beat that. You get the consult free. So if you have a case and you want some ideas, you want some question answered where you should go from where you are now because you're stuck, give Mr. Darnell Crosland a call. The number is 203-921-1782. Once again, that number is 203-921-1782. One more time, 203-921-1782.
Let me give the listeners a squeeze type riddle. If you could tell me how much is 50% free, it's free.
I can't. There's 15 more minutes left in the show. There's so much to cover that I will not be covering. But today I will be giving away $25 for somebody to get some gas. You get a cash app. The first person to call. 203-683-7254. It's a RenieLove Inspirational Show. Maybe they didn't hear that. Maybe I'm not going to say it again. That one time that. Okay, let's bring that back.
And I kill them with the pose and I
Well, thank you.
yeah, when them see the ghost and I kill them, it I kill them cause we are do the most and we are do fly in and I fly out. We are first class, them a do call. We are start the money in a account. When them a top ball, kill it, I kill them. Kill it, I kill them. Them can't stop Jaja children. If God is for us, who can be against us? Who can stop me now? I upward progression. If God is for us, who can be against us? Who can stop me now? I upward progression. Who can stop me now? Who can stop me now? Who can stop me now? Can't even trust your neighbor. Some friends are only friends from paper. Probably if the paper wasn't piling up, some people wouldn't even come near you. Foreign exchange changes behavior. Friends don't really want to see you go major. So little option, supposed to be a failure. So many young ones gone to see their maker. Story of my life, I don't show so much guts, where's the glory of my life? I don't have too many friends, people been phony all my life. You ain't never gonna be gonna, that's what they told me all my life. After all this sacrifice, after all these sleepless nights, after all I realize, if God is for us, who can be against us? Who can stop me now? I upward progression. If God is for us, who can be against us? Who can stop me now? I upward progression. Who can stop me now? Switch up the circle, we stay down for the people who've been there from the first day. There from the first day. No new friends. It's just business. No new friends. It's just business. From your cross, me one stay cross. Never rate me, then no rate me, now your days pass. New friend, quick for shower you with praise fast. Then turn round, yam your food like a breakfast. This is what I prayed for. This is what I wait for. I was made for. If God is for us, who can be against us? Who can stop me now? I upward progression. If God is for us, who can be against us? Who can stop me now? I upward projection. Who can stop me now?
Hey baby, love is coming at you, so you better be prepared. Hey, yeah, hey, you found love is like a brand new toy. It fills you up, you wanna burst with joy. When you're in love, it's a wonderful thing. Your mind at rest, you wanna try your prepare a place in your heart. That's where it all starts. A place in your heart. Make love your resort. Open your heart and let these feelings in. To deny these emotions would be like a sin. On you's love and true love I give you
Yes, yes, yes. It's a really love inspirational show. I want to shout out to Southern Connecticut Vending Fair pop-up shop will be happening on April 24th from 2 p.m. to 5:30. And that is 422 Naugatuck Avenue in Milford, Connecticut. April 24th.
Place in your heart, baby. A place in your heart. Make love your resort.
I'm on the radio.
Remember I told you love was coming at you? You didn't believe me, did you? Yeah, yeah, baby. A place in your heart. That's where it all started. Yes. A place in
All right,
your
bye.
heart. Judge not, lest you be judged. Yeah, yeah. See me and don't know me yet you're passing judgment. How does that make you feel? See me and don't know me yet you're passing judgment. I don't like it and that's for real. Does it make you feel good? Does it make you feel fine? Despising someone you've never seen before this time. Never underestimate another. Never look down on your brother. No, don't do that. No, don't do that. No, well, see me and don't know me yet you're passing judgment. How does that make you feel? See me and don't know me yet you're passing judgment. I don't like it in that.
Also, want to shout out to Go for Bottle Support. This time it'll be in New York at the Grand Roosevelt Ballroom on May 21st. The proceeds from this event goes to help students in Jamaica. St. Elizabeth Technical High School. Just look up Bottle Supports on eventbrite.com for your tickets. It's a dressed up affair. Dinner, steak, salmon, chicken, vegetarian, wine is inclusive.
I wanna know, wanna know. Stars in their own way.
Also on July 9th, the Norwalk International Culture Change Festival will be taking place. July 9th, 2022 from 11 a.m. to 10 p.m. at the Oyster Shell Park in Norwalk, Connecticut. So save that date. That is July 9th.
See me and don't know me at your passing judgment. How does that make you feel? That's not the way you planned it. So don't try to rearrange it. No. Does it make
Yes, your girl had a lot to cover today, but as you see, time run out. So much was to talk about, so much to cover. Yes, but the time has gone past. Interview take up all of that time.
See me, don't know me at your passing judgment. How does that make you feel? See me and don't know me at your passing.
As you heard, there's another young man that has been shot in the head by police just by a traffic stop. And he tried to run away. And in the tussle, he was shot in the head. I mean, you're trying to disarm this man or trying to stable him. If you're going to shoot him just to arm him, not to kill him. You're shooting to kill when you're shooting for the head. You know what I'm saying?
Blessed is the sound and the selector. We're willing to play them.
Coming up next is a lovely Black Barbie, so keep it locked right where you've got it.
Leave me. Sin. Yeah! Rastafari.
There's a lot of talk about the Grammys, that it was won by an all-white band. That is a whole conversation that needs to be had, and I think Rich Kid is gonna do a platform, and that I hope that he does a platform on it. But yeah, there's so much that I wanted to talk about on that. Yeah, so yeah, we're gonna leave that for another time. About reggae music, what it means to us, what it means to other people.
Present with singing, yeah.
I never even heard about the band Soldier until they won. I'm like, who are these people? I go look them up on YouTube. I'm like, what is this music? It's crazy. Yeah. Well, you know, guys, happy Easter. Remember that Christ died for our sins. And we got to honor that, put Christ first.
One more thing, we are the sheep of his flock.
Hope you got your bun and cheese and your fish. Have a safe weekend.
His courts with praise, make a joyful noise, oh land. Serve the Lord with gladness, serve the Lord with gladness.
I want to say happy birthday to everybody that is celebrating a birthday today.
Again and again, into his courts with praise. Be thankful unto him and bless his name. Cause the Lord Jah is good.
Today is Shaka Dima's birthday.
And not we ourselves. Jah bless you, Jah roll. Jah bless Ricky Jupiter. Jah mercy is everlasting. And his truth endureth to all generations. That's why I say, come before his presence. Come before his presence. Come before his presence with singing. Oh God, make a joyful noise. Make a joyful noise, all the land. Serve your Lord with gladness. Come before his presence with singing. Know that the Lord he is God. It is he that has made us, and not we ourselves. Serve your Lord with gladness. Serve your Lord with gladness. Come before his presence with singing.
Yes, it's my time to take care of yourself and each other. That's it. That's it.
Bridgeport, you're in tune to the #1 community radio station. You can now catch us at 106.3 on your FM dial. Keep it locked.
Fox Entertainment and Brandon Brooks from Next Level Promotion presents
Mother's Day Sexy Sophisticated Brunch.
On Sunday, May 8th, Mother's Day.
With music by Steely Bashman.
Steely Bashman will be there on Sunday, May the 8th. Mother's Day, ladies, ladies, ladies. Make sure you're there early.
Mama, me never, ever left you up.
Pizza Black.
Yours truly, no Peter Black's Mother's Day Sexy Sophisticated Brunch.
Famous International and Love Symphony. It's Mother's Day Sexy Sophisticated Brunch.
Sunday, May 8th at Creative Rental.
That's the venue at Creative Rental, 40 Logan Street, Bridgeport City.
Mom, come out and enjoy this event.
It's a Mother's Day Sexy Sophisticated Brunch.
Food catered by Seafood Hut. Purchase tickets online now. moms2022.eventbrite.com.
Mama, you can depend.
Dedicating this day to all the mothers out there on Sunday, May the 8th.
Take Mom to the Sexy Sophisticated Brunch.
Yes, my people. Tequila Sundays, more music, less talk, and reflections. Proudly brings to you strictly the best Sundays. Grown and sexy style. Yes, Sunday, April 17th. That's a this Sunday at Roma Tequila Club, 211 State Street, Bridgeport, Connecticut. Music by Ricky Genius and the Revelation Sound with Voltage and Andy. Yes, I am a ton of the vibes team. You can't miss this with world. Doors open at 8 p.m. Everyone free before 10 p.m. and $10 after. Strictly the best Sundays. Yes, sorry. Strictly the best Sundays. This Sunday, April 17th at the Roma Tequila Club, 211 State Street, Bridgeport, Connecticut, with free parking at the end of Market Court. And don't you forget, it's a smoke-free environment. Strictly the best Sundays. Grown and sexy stars.
Your life, hope you from the day your Christmas time. Girls graduation.
Make we tell about that one.
It's about world of
The return of Angel Promotion presents to you a night called Girls Graduation. Starting to drive a birthday bash. Hey, it's all about Saturday, April 16th inside the Wyrigo Ballroom, 595 East Washington Ave, Bridgeport, Connecticut. Girls Graduation, starting to drive a birthday bash. So must come on early. You'll be musically entertained by no other than Stainless Sound, Pablo Movement, Silver Stone, DJ Pressure, and Heartbeat International. So make it a day and don't be late. Big Spot Major, April 16th, White Eagle Ballroom, 595 East Washington Avenue, Bridgeport, Connecticut. For pre-sold tickets, contact Avery's Kitchen, Fish Market, One Stop, and Flavors on Boston Ave. Make sure you get it. Early settings, Domino Shooter. You don't know a Stanley team.
You might not know yours truly, Marlon famous representing for Russia Bow. You don't know it's all about Friday, April 29th, Russia Brew birthday bash happening in Ansonia, 86 Father Salemi Drive, Ansonia, Connecticut. Right up the road, Queen in the deck. So all Queens roll out. Famous International on the bill. DJ Ice, New Level, and my brothers from New York, Platinum Kids. Them can't stop that one, yeah. This is Marcus, one from Platinum Kids, and I represent the Queen. That's right, Mr. Queen. Rashibo, big birthday party because the one I name Queen. That's right, I got sell out. You don't know the party, I got madman. Friday, April the 29th, up at Ansonia, Connecticut. It's a go mad. Pictures by a major video. I don't know Love Symphony, a power the sound system. Lock it, roll out early, non-stop vibes. Ladies, a bag of them song the phone is right here. April 29th. Lock it. Rum and Tequila in association with More Music, Less Talk and Reflections proudly present on Sunday, May the 1st, Strictly the Best Sundays, featuring the one and only from Hot 97, New York City, Jabba from out to the Massive B, Bridgeport, hey everybody in Bridgeport, a Jabba talk from out to Massive B sound at 97, New York City, and it's all about Strictly the Best Sundays, the grown and sexy style, each and every Sunday, come load up in there because the Massive B sound are coming at the town. It's all going down Sunday, May the 1st. I said it's Sunday, May the 1st. Massive B sound in your town. You hear that? Music by Massive B, Stainless Sound, Jubilee from Silverstone, and Famous International. Yeah, man, don't know it's yours, Sula Marlon famous. Represented mature vibes, grown and sexy. Free parking for everyone at Market Court, 211 State Street, Bridgeport, Connecticut. Rum and Tequila Club. You know where we say grown and sexy. You know the energy, you know the music. Doors open at 8 o'clock. Everyone free before 10. So you know what that means, right? Get here early. Sponsored by Reflections, the ultimate grown and sexy event, the series.
New England, this is Mario Chief, representing for College Street Music Hall in Artie Cuban. Did you know Sean Paul was coming?
Let's damn. Hey, yo, New England, get your tickets right now to see the live and living Scotch on the 23rd of April at allseanpaul.com. You know what we do? Right there at the College Street Music Hall. You know what I'm saying? Yeah, man, my people think, see it? Let's damn. Baby girl. God take time, cool, I wanna be keeping you warm. I got the right temperature for shelter. Just
Get your $35 early bird tickets today at College Street Music Hall, box office, New Haven, Connecticut, or at all your online outlets for Saturday, April 23rd. Sean Paul live in concert at College Street Music Hall.